So in this class, we're going to introduce file handling. So we have data. So usually when we run or when we write codes, the data that we input there only happens during that time, or we call them runtime. So what happens when we close or the program terminates? So where does the data go? So instead of going it away, we would like to keep it. So today we're going to introduce how we store our data. Okay, so usually we have files document in they are stored in our device, such as the what do you call this such as in the flash drive, your external drive, or inside your computer, or just inside the drive. Okay, so the way how we store, we open it again to do something on it, or when we create some file is what we call file handling, and we store it in our hard drive. So we're going to deal with text-based or binary-based data type of document. But actually right now, okay, so most data are stored in what we call database. So it's more structured and more efficient way of storing information, especially if you have a lot of data. Okay, but now we just focus on smaller range of data, and we identify how to write them with Python. Okay, so there are three basic operations in file handling. So the first thing you usually do is open it. And when you open it, do you want to read it, or do you want to write on it, or do you want to append on it, which means there's already data that's in there and you would like to add something. And usually if you open, you need to close so that we avoid corrupting the file. So usually it happens when we open a file and suddenly our computer runs out battery or something, it just turns off, and that boom, it wasn't closed prior to doing that. So that's why in some cases it will get lost or corrupted. But right now there are technology handling that, and when that happens, so we will still be able to retrieve our data. Okay, so in here, okay, let's take note of the different modes. We have R for read, W for write, and A for append. Okay, so let's start with reading. So usually we provide the file path or the file name of that file that we want to open. So we use the function open and write the file path and what do you want to do with it. So for example, let's start with the read. Okay, so in here when we read something, we assume that the file is already there. And okay, let's do some example over here. Okay, right. So I'm gonna create lesson 5. Okay. So for example, we have a text file. So in this text file, okay, my file.text will contain the information about you or about me. And let's say, okay, my name, and then let's say phone number, and then address. So yep. Okay. And that I already have this and I want to read it. Okay, so first, okay, this is to read some file. Okay, so I know that if they belong to the same folder, okay, so I have a file and I would like to open it, and the name of my file is myfile.txt, and I want to read it. Okay, so now we have file. So okay, so usually we would like to read everything that is in there in our file, so we can use read. Okay, right, so here, okay, in my file I want to read, and that we can store them to inside details. So when we print the details, okay, we expect that whatever is in my file, okay, will be shown. Okay, so let's run the program. Item 3 lesson 5.py. Okay, so we see here whatever was inside our myfile.txt is shown here. Okay, so yep, that is reading some file. Okay, how about number 2 is we write some file. So let's say you already run the program and you want to keep it. So for example, we have a program, and just for example, you're collecting some data that, okay, I'd like to, okay, we have registration, okay, register. So in the registration, you're gonna ask for the name. So input, okay, name, and we're gonna get the address or email address. So usually, okay, when we run this, okay, let me save again and run again. Okay, so register, I register my name and email address. Okay, so what happens to that name that you just input? It is only stored during the time when you run it. But how do I want to keep it? So if you want to keep the name and email address that we have, okay, so this time we'll introduce how to write some files. So I can say that, okay, I have a file and I open, and I'll say registration.txt, and this time I'm going to write, okay, and okay, to write something on it, okay, we use the .write function. So careful here, because in write, if it already exists, whatever was there before will be overwritten, or if you haven't created yet, then it will create the file. So in here, I don't have registration.txt. So when I would like to write it, okay, so see here that I need to input the name first, and Sheila@sheila.com. Okay, so see here the registration.txt is created, but inside, yeah, there's nothing yet in it. Okay, so let's try to write something on it. Okay, so I would like to write in my file the name, and I also want to write the email that we just give, and then okay, we will close file. Okay, so again, right now there's nothing on the registration.txt. So once I input the name and Sheila@gmail.com, so observe that it's already written here, the name and the email, but doesn't look very good, right? And because it just right on the next. Okay, so if you want that could be line by line in here, then we can add maybe a new line, so it goes to the next line. So this happens, okay, again, so I will say Robert, and Robert@gmail.com. So we expect that Robert and robert@gmail.com will be stored here. Oh, but nothing. Why is it still Sheila? Okay, let's try to open it again. But I write Robert. Okay, let's. Oh, okay, so we need to overwrite. Okay, let me just open. Oop. Again, run again. So Robert Jr. at gmail.com. Okay, so now it's everything that Sheila there before was overwritten. Okay. Or if you change it to my file, the text. So inside your my file, the text, usually the information, right, the details. But then you use the same file name. Okay. So everything that is in here is now overwritten. So yeah, be careful with the use of W. So if you don't want that, we will overwrite it. So instead, and you write it like we add something on it. So we can use. Okay, I'll put this back. So what if your file is not on the same folder? Then you need to give the exact path. So for example, it's in your C drive and maybe in your documents. So you need to find where the file is in your computer. Okay, right? So what if okay, we add another registrant, right? Another registration. Okay, or it could be I'll write it like this. Okay, new line. So each time you would like them to register, then you keep the information. Okay. So Robert and Rob at gmail.com. Okay, so that's Robert. And what if we add another one? So if we keep doing it using the right, then I have Bob here, Bob at boss.com. So Robert will be gone. So what we want is that we just keep adding it. So this one will no longer be applicable. So we can do some append the file or update. We call them update. Okay. So here I have a file and I would like to open the same thing, registration, the text, and instead of it shows so A. I would like to add, so okay, I'll just copy this. So I need to register another person. Okay, so when we register another person, still the same. I'm going to write it in here. So I'll write the name plus we put a tab so there's a space, and after the name we write the email, and for the next one, so we just make a new line and we close. Okay. Alright, so right now there's Bob and we register again Robert. So Robert at gmail.com. So Robert now is added to our file, and if we keep adding again, maybe I add Sheila and Sheila at sheila.com. So Sheila will be also added, and this time even your code is not running, your data will still be there. Alright, okay, so yep, so that's it for the file handling operations. Okay, so yeah, we have the read. So you can do this exercise. So for example, I want you to make a file name called flower.txt, and inside it you can just write anything, any flower, open it and read it. Another one, practice with write. So let's say you inside the score, the text, you're going to write the name and their score, and append, so you add another person out of the 5, so marina should be added after that. Okay. And okay, usually if you observe every after transaction with your uh, cashier, they will print the the receipt, right? So it's a similar thing that we usually do in the file handling. Alright, okay, so here are some examples that you can look up. Okay, so we did the reading. This is write and this is submit. Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know.